you guys are. And then, Buzz, as soon as you're done, you can start the track.
Okay, cool.
And then I'll speak in between the other ones.
Okay, you're not going to speak at first. Cool.
Yeah.
You're apparently taller than me. I'll just dip this down a little bit, and we're on. And I'm looking at your camera. Cool. Hello, and welcome to Acoustic Moose from Audio for the Arts. We've got a good friend of mine in here today, and this is an unusual setting for him. He's going to tell you more about what this is and, you know, compared to what he normally does. But I've worked with Ryan in quartet settings, trio settings, you know, all kinds of different live concerts in studio. And it's been several years of, we even performed a little bit together in the studio. I'm not quite at your level, but you know, I did my best. But Ryan is always doing really cool, fun, creative stuff, and it's really great to have him in here at Audio for the Arts for Acoustic Moose. So please welcome my friend, Ryan Meisel.
This land is very old. Everything that we have built or lived in has its foundation on the rock and stone. It has been here for countless ages and will remain here long after we are gone. What have the rocks witnessed? What has the stone seen? What stories would they share? What songs would they sing? this land still is very old. Everything that we build or live in will have its foundation on the rock and stone. It will be here for countless ages and will remain here long after we are gone. What will the rocks witness? What will the stones see? What stories will they share? What songs will they sing? It is an absolute honor to be here at Acoustic Moose, live from Audio for the Arts in Madison, and that was a great welcome by Buzz. Thank you. The music you're hearing tonight is called Ryan Meisel's Spiritual Currents, World Sound Explorations, and I'm playing music from my newest recording, Stone Songs, Wooden Voices, and Water Dances. What's unique about this recording is that I recorded it here in January. So what I do is I layer all of the instruments, the drums, the djembes, the frame drums, the shakers, the rattles, the electric bass, iwi in a little bit, the ukuleles, and then I play the instruments, the flute instruments that I'm playing live here. I'm most known in Madison for my jazz saxophone playing in countless groups, but this particular ensemble features world instruments, especially indigenous flutes. I have a number of flutes that are indigenous to North America. That last instrument was a Scottish low whistle. I have a Irish flute, traditional, a Lithuanian Birbyne that dates back hundreds of years before the silver flute, which was invented in the Baroque times, and then a couple saxophones to round it out. And then new this year, a new instrument, it's called an overtone flute, a Fujara from Slovakia. Every tune today is based on a location where I've traveled this past 3 or 4 years. And that last tune was called Stone Songs. And it was inspired by a trip to Arches National Park, witnessing these beautiful, beautiful rock formations and thinking about how old they are and how many people have witnessed those rocks and those stones. And thinking that if the stones could talk, what would they talk? What would they say about humanity and our life? This next tune is called Red Rock. And coming from that same park, Arches National Park, there are 4 main melodies to this tune, inspired by 4 of my favorite arches from that park. Delicate Arch, which is the most notable, Landscape Arch, which is the most fragile, Double O Arch, which is one of my favorites, and the Navajo Arch, which is a great hike to get up to if you can make it. This is Red Rock. we're cooking. That was the Lithuanian Birbyne. This next tune is going to be played on a traditional North American indigenous flute, and this tune is called Skyline. It was inspired by the skyline of the Badlands in South Dakota. The Badlands are a very special place, and just south of the Badlands, there's the Pine Ridge Reservation, which is home to a lot of Lakota or Oglala Lakota people. And a great friend of mine, Delbert Charging Crow, a Lakota elder, took my wife and I to a Sundance ceremony, and it was very spiritual, very powerful, and the fact that we were able to share that with him was just fantastic. It was a fantastic witness of culture and of spirituality, and while this is dedicated to the Badlands, it's also inspired by the Lakota culture. This is Skyline, and the animal you hear, all these animals, all these field recordings are made by me. This is the buffalo in South Dakota Badlands. All right, so Wisconsin has a rich and very, very wonderful culture of indigenous artifacts. And we have over 100 different, gonna catch my breath. See, the cool thing about playing in a jazz group is that you can take a break while everyone else solos. Can't do that here. All right, this next tune is called Remnants, and it's inspired by the rock art and petroglyphs, pictographs that were carved or etched or painted on rock from cultures 800, 1200, 2000 years ago. And there are over 100 examples of this rock art in Wisconsin. One of the most well-known is on Rocha Cree. Rocha Cree is a state park right in the middle of our state. And there are pictures of birds and beings and in the images that tell stories that especially relate to the Ho-Chunk Nation. There are many, many other instances in the American Southwest, in Utah, Arizona, Colorado, New Mexico, and this tune is dedicated to the stories that those examples of art tell and what they may tell in the future. Each sound that you hear is from one of these flutes. So there's 12 different instruments on this recording, and I'm going to be playing the bass flute. Deserted towers and sacred kivas, built in cliffs beneath the sky, mere remnants of an ancient culture in desolated ruins lie. Petroglyphs with secret message modern age cannot unfold, strange, unique, mysterious carvings of tribal legends yet untold. Why went this race and left none after, in sun-baked homes of earthen floor, rain tower, watchtower, both deserted. Nothing now but indigenous lore. Poet Viva Sulet. This next tune, Wooden Voices, and it's the second part of this new trilogy, Stone Songs, Wooden Voices, and Water Dances. These are inspired by the spirit of the woods, its wisdom, its unique feeling when we participate in its glory, and there are so many opportunities that we can take in our lives to get out of our daily routine and commune with nature. And 5 years ago during the COVID pandemic, it gave us opportunity to rethink what was important in our lives. And for me, when we were kind of stuck inside, I used that time to compose and really get creative. And I would take my flutes and my instruments out into nature with me. And while I was doing that before for many years, it really became a thing where whenever my wife and I would go on a hike, she would ask, are you going to bring spiritual currents with you? And that meant, am I going to bring a flute or a drum or a rattle and commune with nature and music? And it became the thing now, and then now it just becomes like a normal thing that we do. You got your water bottle and your flute, right? So there isn't a tree or a rock formation or a trail or a lake or a beautiful image that doesn't inspire some type of sound from in my imagination. So this is very spiritual, this is very creative, a way to express those things in nature, and this is Wooden Voices, and again on the bass flute. Only the trees know when it is time for their leaves to grow. From seeds to saplings, outstretched branches towering high. Only the trees know. They see and hear things over time. The forest calls to be listened to. Only the trees know. To add to our dialogue, their echoes of enchantment and wisdom. These are their voices. Only the trees know when it is time for their leaves to grow. From seeds to saplings, outstretched branches towering high. Only the trees know. They see and hear things over time. The forest calls to be listened to. Only the trees know. To add to our dialogue, their echoes of enchantment and wisdom. These are their voices. When it is time for their leaves to grow. From seeds to saplings, outstretched branches towering high. Only the trees know. They see and hear things over time. forest calls to be listened to. Only the trees know. To add to our dialogue, their echoes of enchantment, and wisdom. These are their voices. This next tune, pine, birch, and the hemlock, are three trees that grow really all over Wisconsin and the North Woods. But very specifically, there's a part of the National Lakeshore in Michigan called Pictured Rock National Lakeshore. And this is the old growth forest. Now, an old growth forest means there's DNA and lineage from the current trees that grow there that date back prior to when most of the forest was logged. So when you can have these places that have been untouched since before, before the colonization of this country, it's very special to come in contact with these. So my wife and I were on a campsite. I say a lot of my wife and I because she's my travel partner, Celia, and we were camping on Pictured Rock, backpacking, Pictured Rock National Lakeshore 2 summers ago. And at our campsite, at Lowney Creek campsite, there was this beautiful pine tree, and it was so big, it was a white pine, I could not wrap my arms around it. Further down the trail, we came upon a clearing, and this beautiful birch tree, 100 feet high, was just by itself, and it was kind of inconceivable how this tree can be alone without growth around it, but it was very inspiring. And then the hemlock. The hemlock grows very, very slowly, and you can, based on how big the circumference of the trunk is, some of these trees date back before the Civil War, and they're growing right here near where we live. So this is pine, birch, and hemlock. This tune is inspired by lots of different cultures of instruments. I have African djembes, traditional Native American shaman drums, rattles, Egyptian tambourine, and an Irish wood flute. Hope you dig it. All right, so the gumbo limbo tree is a tree that grows in the Everglades. And it's a beautiful, beautiful tree. It takes its contour from the landscape around it, which is very watery, so it grows right out of the water. And on a trip to the Everglades last year, this tree just had made an impression on me. While staying in Miami Beach, which is definitely not natural, there's this vibe though. So this energy of Latin America mixed with the city culture, mixed with the vibe of nature just a few miles away. So this is Gumbo Limbo, and it has a Latin feel. This is a Baroque silver flute, which is about 400 years old, not this particular one, but this style of flute. So all of the wooden instruments that I'm playing predate that instrument by a few hundred years. So we're covering quite the ground here. This is Gumbo Limbo. going to slow things down a little bit here. This next tune is Lilacs, and it's simply inspired by the lilac tree in my backyard. All right, so we have a new flute in the arsenal here. This is a Slovakian overtoned flute. The air pipe is right here at the bottom, but the air travels up a column, and the edge, or the fipple, is right up here. So it is a special sounding instrument. It plays overtones just like a brass instrument does, and this is the instrument to speak the Water Dances song. Here we go. Through the creek, over the rock ledge, lapping at the shore, crashing the sea coast. This ballet continues, as it has been doing since the earth was composed. The choreography that the plants move to in the ocean, the sidestep flow of the winding river, the leaps and bounds of the waterfall. These are the water dances. Next tune, is the River Ballet. All right, we have two more tunes for you today. It's been quite the honor to perform here tonight, and I'd like to thank Buzz and Noah and everybody here for putting on this wonderful show and this wonderful concert series. This is truly a remarkable event. This next tune is En l'air, and that is French for in the air. It's a ballet move when the dancer is airborne. And this music is inspired by all the great waterfalls in northern Wisconsin, in the Driftless region towards the west, and in the North Woods in the UP in Michigan. But the music is inspired by sounds of traditional Scandinavian culture. So this is getting to Northern European roots, and I'm playing this instrument on a saxophone, something I'm a little bit, my background is in jazz saxophone. So this is a sopranino saxophone, and this particular instrument is pre-World War II. It dates back to 1913, and this is in l'air. All right, we've come to the end of our show here. But before we go, this is actually an album release party. So right now we have hard copies of this album for sale at all of my shows. And if you go to meiselmusic.net, there is a link to all of my performances this summer. And summer is a very special time to travel, and I visit a lot of state parks. And at most of the state parks I visit, I do performances. So I have performances all throughout the summer, farmers markets, fairs, art shows. It's a very, very great time to be outside and play spiritual currents music. This next tune is called Gitchi Manitou, or Gitchigami. Gitchigami is Ojibwe for Lake Superior. And Lake Superior is a beautiful, wonderful, powerful lake. This tune represents its beauty, its majesticness, and its calm nature. But then there's times of the year where it can be very violent and destructive. So we want to give respect to the culture that named this lake before Lake Superior. This is Gitchigami, inspired by the Ojibwe tradition.
Thanks, Ryan. Thanks, man. Good to have you
Thank
in
you
the
very much.
studio. Our artist, Ryan Meisel. The album is Spiritual Currents. Hopefully you can see that. And it is available in actual physical form, which is not that common nowadays. It's Acoustic Moose, a presentation of Audio for the Arts. Our video director is Noah Gilfillan. Tori Niels is on the camera into which I am looking. Stephanie Benachek is on another camera over there. I'm Buzz Kemper. Thank you very much for tuning in, for watching, and for listening.